Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In my last video, I discussed about the Vedic era, which starts from 1500 BC and assumed to end in 600 BC, where I discussed about its two divisions, Rig Vedic period and later Vedic period. In this video, I am going to discuss about the rise of Buddhism, Jainism, and about the Mahajanpadas. First of all, I am going to describe in detail about the Buddhism, about the Four Noble Truths and the Eight Vows by Gautam Buddha, Three Ratna, and about the Four Councils held. Then I am going to discuss about Jainism, its five vows, some Tirthankars, their philosophies and councils. And I'm even going to discuss about the similarities and dissimilarities in Buddhism and Jainism. In the last part of this video, I am going to discuss about the second urbanization and then the rise of 16 Mahajanpadas. So what are we waiting for? Let's start our discussion with Buddhism. Buddhism. Gautam Buddha was known as the founder of Buddhism. In the early texts, we have found his name as Gautama and somewhere Siddhartha also. He was born in Lumbini, Nepal in 563 BC and grew up in Kapilavastu. He spent his time in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. His father's name was King Suddhodana, who was from Sakya community, and mother's name was Mahamaya, who died after a few days of his birth. Siddhartha's primary socialization was made by Gautami, therefore he is also known as Gautama. He got married at the early age. He was having a son named Rahul. Meaning of Rahul is loving bond. Gautama was moved by suffering of life and death and its endless repetition due to rebirth. He thus set out on a quest to find liberation from suffering. He left his home at the age of 29, and this is known as Mahabhinishkarman, or great renunciation, or we can say great departure. For 6 years, he stayed in Uruvela, modern Bodh Gaya. There he met his first teacher, Alar Kalam, who taught him meditation, and the second teacher, Udrak Ramputra, who taught him philosophy. Finding these teachings insufficient to attain his goal, he turned to practice of severe asceticism, which included a strict fasting and various forms of breath control. These two fell too short of attaining his goal, and then he turned to the meditative practice of dhyan. He famously sat in meditation under Peepal tree, now called as Bodhi tree, in the town of Bodh Gaya, and attained awakening. And this stage is known as Nirvana. And now he was known as Gautam Buddha. On awakening, Buddha gained insight into the workings of karma and his former lives, as well as achieving the ending of sufferings and the end of rebirth in samsara. At Sarnath, he gave his first religious discourse, known as Dharma Chakra Paravartana, turning of wheel of law. He gave his first religious discourse to 5 Brahmanas who left him before. He said, the way you perform your duty is dharma, and said there are 4 noble truths or eternal truth. Like first is, whole world is full of sorrow. The reason of sorrow is desire. And if desire are conquered, all sorrows can be eliminated. Fourth and final one is, it is possible by following Ashtangic Marg. So there are 8-fold paths suggested by Gautam Buddha. First is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. Means you are going to control your thought. He was asked by many people to express his view about the existence of God. He said, I am agnostic. I am neither accept or not reject God. He never fell into the religious talk, and he said, I am a social reformer, not a religious reformer. He said, if God is there, then he is also bound by the eternal law of karma. The universal law is same for human and God, and that is karma. If a common man do good deed, then he is going to become the God. And if the God is not doing good work, then he is going to lose the godhood. Gautam Buddha is known as real founder of Buddhism because he gave Buddhism an organizational structure. He conducted mass programs. He trained the monks in self-restraint, non-violence, refrain from material life, group behavior, public service, removal of untouchability, and the theory of karma. Buddha is the first human to be worshipped. He established Buddhist Sangha and used the common man's language, Pali, instead of Sanskrit. There are three Ratna or Buddhism. First is Buddha, which means Gautam Buddha. Second is Dhamma, which means teaching of Gautam Buddha. And the third one is Sangha, which means the Buddhist organization. Members of Sangha is Bhikshu, or we can say the monks. The Bhikshu live out of the society which is known as the Vihar. So Vihar is a residential place for the monks. Let us understand about what were the qualification and disqualification to become the monk. To become a monk, you should be an adult, you should wear yellow clothes and tonsure the head, express the faith in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And the member is going to be disqualified if he is a convict of offense, he is a defaulter and suffer from any communicable disease. All the monks get the salaka from Buddha. The ceremony to become a monk is called Upavastha. Salaka was meant for vote and we can say or for the democratic exorcism. All the monks from small groups to preach Buddhis near the village. They construct a temporary house known as Vasa. After long preaching, they return back to Vihar. Confession were organized known as Upostha or Parvana. Gautam Buddha was against the entry of women in Sangha. But after repeated requests of his chief disciple Anand, Buddha permitted women to become a monk. So his mother Gautami was the first woman to become a monk. Maximum sermon delivered by Buddha was in Sravasti. Sravasti was the capital of Kosal, which is near to Ayodhya. He gave his last sermon to Anand. He said nothing is permanent and all composite things decay. Strive out diligently to attain the nirvana. Death of Buddha known as Mahaparinirvana, and he died in the year 483 BC in Kushinagar. After the death of Buddha, Buddhist councils were organized, and the first Buddhist council was organized just after his death. In 483 BC at Rajgriha, which was the capital of Magad. The ruler of Magad was Ajatasattu. Mahakashyap was the president of this council, and two books were composed. First was Pitak by Anand and Vinay Pitak by Upali. Pitak means tokery. Anand were collecting the teaching of Gautam Buddha, and Vinay Pitak is the monastic code of conduct, means what we can do and what should not be done. Sutta Pitak was divided in many volumes, or we can say Nikaya. Digha Nikaya is the largest among them. It contains two great sermons of Buddha, first and the last. Anguttara Nikaya is describe about the political condition of India during the time of Buddha and about the 16 Mahajanpadas. The Kudak Nikaya consists of Jataka stories. Near about 500 to 600 birth story of Buddha is written in them. Then there was the second Buddhist council which was organized in 383 BC after 100 years of first council in Vaishali. King of Magad was Kalasok and Saba Kamir was the president of this council. We have to understand something before understanding how the Vajji Sangh divided, or we can say how this Sangha was divided. So there were total 8 republic states and Lichavi was one of them. These 8 republics formed an organization which was called as Vajji Sangh and capital of Lichavi was Vajji, or we can say Vaishali. So capital of Vajji Sangh was also Vaishali. The monks of Vajji Sangh divided during the second Buddhist council into 2 parts. First was Ashtavirvadin and the second was Mahasangika. The Ashtavirvadin is also known as Theravada, which was an orthodox Sangh, whereas Mahasangika was unorthodox. The Ashtavirvadin, they were not ready to accept any change. So we can say the first division in Buddhism happened in the second council. The third Buddhist council was organized in 250 BC at Patliputra. Ruler of Magad was Ashoka at that time. Council was presided by Mogliputta Tisa. In this council, missionary activities had started. Ashoka sent his son and daughter Mahendra and Sanghamitra to Sri Lanka to spread the message of Dhamma and Buddhism. A new book was composed and known as Abhidhamma Pitak. It is the philosophical interpretation of Sutta Pitak. It was composed by Mogliputta Tisa and all the Pitaks were in Pali language. Fourth Buddhist council was organized in the 1st century AD at Kundalwan Vihar, Kashmir. Srinagar was established by Ashok, but the king of Kashmir at that time was Kanishk. The council was presided by Vashumitra and vice president was Ashwaghosh. Ashwaghosh wrote 3 books in Sanskrit, which were Buddha Charitra, Sundar Anand and Sariputra Prakaran. In this council, Sanskrit was adopted and it replaced Bali. And the final division of Buddhist Sangha was happened in this council, which was Hinayana and Mahayana. Now let us understand what was Hinayana. The Hinayan Sangha continued to use the Pali. They were orthodox and they used to worship the stupa. They believed in individual salvation and it spread it in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka. Buddha was then Mahayana. Mahayana, they changed the language from Pali to Sanskrit. They were unorthodox and they started worshipping the idol of Buddha. And they were thinking about the salvation of all. It spread it in China, Japan and Korea. Now let us discuss about the stupa, which is also known as relics. It is having various parts such as Chhatra, Yashti, Harmika, Pradakshina and Medhi, Sopan and Vedika and Toran. Harmika is the most important parts of stupa and they used to keep Buddha relics here. There are 3 important architecture of Buddhism: Vihar, Stupa and Chaitya. Vihar is a residential place and it was made of woods and sometimes it was a caves. Stupa was made up of mud, bricks, and stones, and Chaitya was the temple for Buddhism. Chaitya is the integral part of Vihar, but not in equal number. There are 29 caves in Ajanta and 25 are Vihar and 4 are Chaitya. And this is the best example to understand the difference in between Vihar and Chaitya. All the Buddhist caves are artificial. We can say they all were man-made. Now let us proceed further and understand about the Jainism. Mahavir was born as Vardhaman in 540 BC. He was the real founder of Jainism. His father's name was Siddhartha and was the chief of Yatrika clan. He was Kshatriya, so he was also a prince. Mahavir was married and having a daughter. After the daughter got married, Mahavir started having deviation from the family, and he left his family at the age of 30, taking permission from his elder brother Nandivardhan. After leaving the house, 6 years he lived with Makhali Ghosal, who was the founder of Ajivika sect. The Ajivika sect was Niyativad, and Makhali Ghosal said that thought and action should be the same, and he used to live naked. So Mahavir also discarded his clothes after coming in contact with Makhali Ghosal. But after 6 years, he left Makhali Ghosal. And now he was sitting under the sal tree. And after 6 years, at the age of 42, he got Cavalier, means awakening or the lightning. And after getting Cavalier, he became Jinnah, which means conqueror. He became Nirgrantha, which means free from all bonds. And Mahavir accepted the existence of God, but he said, God is not creator of universe. God is bound by eternal law of karma. Mahavir said, the real sufferance started in soul. We can say that he believed in soul. And the impact of karma is known as Pudgal, is released in the soul. Pudgal is also known as karmic particles. When the suffering starts, and that stage is known as Ashrav. And this is when Pudgal started flowing towards the soul. When the soul is bounded, means all it is full of the Pudgal or the karmic particle, and that stage is known as Bandh. The third stage is Samvara, and that is the state when the karmic particles start leaving your soul, and that is the stage of liberation. The fourth and the final stage is the Nirjara, where the soul is fully liberated. Now thought is not influenced and unstoppable, and it is free flowing. Now the soul is fully liberated. Mahavir suggested 5 vows. First is ahimsa, which means through action, thought, and words you should accept ahimsa. You should follow ahimsa. Second is satya, which means truth. Third is aparigraha, which means non-accumulation of wealth. Fourth is asteya, which means no stealing. 5, and the last one is the brahmacharya, which means celibacy, which is followed by monks. The first 4 vows are known as anuvrata and can be followed by the upasak, which means those who are follower of Jain Dharma, but they are the common people. But when we are going to combine all 5 vows, it is going to become Mahavrata, and it is for the monks. They are going to follow brahmacharya. According to Jain literature, there are 24 Tirthankars. The first one was Rishabh, and he was also known as Adinath. The 22nd Tirthankar was known as Neminath, and he was contemporary of Krishna. The 23rd Tirthankar was Parsvanath, and he gave the four vows: Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, and Aparigraha. His historical identity can be established, and Parshvanath was son of king of Kashi Ashvasen. He got cavalier after 84 days of penance at Samyat Parvat, which is in Jharkhand. Followers of Parshvanath were men and women both, and they all wear the white clothes. Mahavir was the 24th Tirthankar, and he was the last Tirthankar, and he gave the five vows, fifth vows. Now we have to understand about the Jain philosophy. The Jain philosophy is Shyadvad, which means there is no truth which is ultimate truth. The second is Nyayavad. Only the Tirthankar knows the complete truth. And the third one is Anikantvad. And there are many facets of the truth. And these are the Jain philosophy. Now we are going to proceed further and going to discuss about the Jain councils. The first council was held in the 3rd century BC at Patliputra during the time of Chandragupta Maurya, presided by Stulbahu. When Chandragupta Maurya was the ruler of Magad, according to the Jaina literature, Parishishta Parvan, there were 12 years famine in the Magad. So Chandragupta Maurya was very benevolent king and he left his throne. Now his son Bindusar became the next king. After leaving the throne, he went to Karnataka Sravanbelagola along with the monk Bhadrabahu. He was the chief of Jain Sangha. Chandragupta Maurya died thereafter following Salekhana, which means fasting to death. Bhadrabahu returned back to Magad after that. But those who left in Magad, they remained the orthodox. They were not wearing any clothes. Those who were in Magad, they started wearing clothes, but those who went with Bhadrabahu, they were orthodox and they were not wearing any clothes. Now there was a conflict in between these two. Now Jaina Sangha also got divided in two parts. First is Svetambara and the second one is Digambara. The Svetambara were those who were having the white clothes, whereas the Digambara was those who were without the cloth. The Svetambara were those who were the follower of the Parsvanath. They were unorthodox and they were thinking for salvation for all. And according to them, there is one Tirthankar out of 24 who was the woman. Digambar was those, as I have mentioned, they lived without the cloth and they followed Mahavir. They were very orthodox and they were thinking about the individual salvation. And according to them, there was no woman who became the Tirthankar. There is one Tirthankar known as Mallinath. According to Digambar, he was male, whereas Sitambar believed she was a female. Now let us proceed further and discuss about the second Jain council, which held in 5th century AD at Vallavi, Gujarat. Here the Jain literature was recompiled. Before that there were 14 volumes known as Purva. All were lost. So after this council, the literature was recompiled in 12 Angas. Devarti Shama Sarma was the president of this council. Now let us discuss about the similarity and dissimilarity in Jainism and Buddhism. First is Buddhism and the theory of karma. This was the theory of karma was followed by both. Buddhism say they were the karma margi, whereas Jainism, they were the Gyan margi. Means only knowledge can lead to salvation. About the soul, if we believe that Buddhism, they don't believe in soul. In Jainism, they believe in soul. Regarding the God, Buddhism, they neither accept God nor reject the God. Whereas Jain, they believe in God, but they said that the God is not the creator of universe. They believe in Jiva and Ajiva, and they both are different. Means the soul and matter, they both are different from each other. And they say due to the karma, the matter and soul get sajiv. Matter gets soul and it becomes sajiv. Now about the non-violence, all the Buddhists believe in middle path, but Jainism, they believe in extreme non-violence. And you might have noticed that even they are covering their mouth when they are speaking. Now about the rebirth theory. All the Buddhists believe in rebirth, and even the Jainists also believe. But soul is not the factor of rebirth, it is the factor of karma. Buddha said, if the individual sin no more, then he dies no more. So if you do not die, there will be no rebirth. Then you will free from the cycle of rebirth. Regarding the reincarnation, they believe in reincarnation, Buddhism. Whereas in Jainism, there are two views. Svetambaras, they believe, and Digambaras, they say that the Mahavir was a Lord Tirthankar. According to Buddhism, that whenever there will be a trouble, Buddha will come. And according to them, there will be Maitreya who is going to come and going to resolve the problem of the world. Mahavir established Jana Sangha, an organization of monks. There will be one head who will be known as Thera or Gandhar. Mahavir was the first Gandhar and Bhadrabahu was also a Gandhar. Now let us understand about the second organization, which is the last topic for this video. It was very much connected to first organization. It was in Gangetic Valley, and the reason was many, like the alluvial soil of Gangetic Valley, which was very fertile soil. Second reason is the process of acculturation, means the technological fusion. In Gangetic Valley, there were migration from different culture groups from thousands of years. The local Neolithic community were using the different technology of agriculture, rice cultivation and use of iron. There were migrant Harappans and migrant Aryans. They had created the technological fusion and they came in contact with floodplain of Gangetic Valley, which resulted in massive surplus and urbanization. Third reason is paddy cultivation. The climate condition is very important for paddy cultivation, and the production of paddy is much more than wheat to it help in surplus production. Fourth is transplantation of crop. In 600 BC there was technique used called transplanting, which created 100 times more productivity. Fifth reason is the use of iron technology and the technique of carbonization. Iron was mixed with carbon, which resulted in the formation of steel and semi-steel, which was used in plowshare, iron axe, etc. Therefore, peasants were able to tap deep fertility of soil. Sixth reason is the ideological perspective of Buddhism and Jainism, which is the non-violence. Now the trade and commerce become smooth. It creates the social mobility. And when the social mobility is high, then the economic transaction is fast. Seventh condition is the monetization of economy, which is the last reason, according to me, and that is the circulation of punch marked coins made of silver in the beginning, later even made of copper, and further increased the trade and commerce. The first coin which was circulated in India was in the 5th century BC. There are points which lead to second organization I have discussed. These were more flourished than the first one. There were big cities now. The first city was the Hastinapur, then Mathura, Kausambi, Banaras, Patliputra. And the size of the city increases from Hastinapur and till the Patliputra. Now I am going to discuss about the age of Mahajanpada of 600 BC. According to Sutta Pitak, Anguttara Nikaya, there were 16 Mahajanpada. First one was Kashi and the capital was Varanasi. The modern location of Varanasi is Uttar Pradesh. Second is Kosala. The capital is Sravasti, which is in Ayodhya, UP. Anga, which the capital is Champa. Now it is in Bhagalpur, Bihar. Magad, the capital is Rajgriha in Patna, Bihar. Vajji, which is Vaishali, and Vaishali in Bihar. Malla, the capital is Kushinara. Now is Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh. Chedi, with the capital Sutimati. Now it is in Budehelkhand region, Madhya Pradesh. Vatsa, the capital is Kausambi, and now it is in Kausambi, Uttar Pradesh. Kuru, the capital is Indraprasth, now it is in Delhi. Panchal, the capital is Kampilya, now it is in Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. Matsya, the capital is Viratnagar, now it is in Jaipur, Rajasthan. Avanti, which is in Ujjain, the capital is Ujjain, now it is in Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh. Gandhara, the capital was Pushkalavati, now it is in Peshawar, Pakistan. Cambodia, the capital was Kapisa, and now it is in Kabul, Afghanistan. Surasena, the capital was Mathura, now it is in Mathura, Uttar Pradesh. Last one is Asaka, the capital was Potana, now it is Patan, Maharashtra. Now I am going to discuss about the speciality of these Mahajanpadas one by one. First is Kashi. Its capital city is Varanasi and is located at confluence of river Ganga and Gomati. Known for the horse markets and cotton textile. Briharatra was the ruler of Kashi. He conquered Kosala. However, it was later annexed by Kosala, which turned out to be the cause of war in between Magadha and Kosala. Second is Kosala. The river Gomati bounded in west, river Sadanira in east, and Nepal hills in the north, and the rivers Syadika in the south. Mahakosla, Prasenjit, and Suddhodana were some of the famous rulers. And during the reign of King Vidudhabha, Kosala was merged into Magadha. Ayodhya, Saketa, and Sravasti were the very important towns of Kosala. Next is Anga. It was expanded to include Vanga within the capital Champa, being wealthy commercial center. Ruler was Dandivandana, Dari Vahana, who was married to Lichvi princess Padmavati, who was a daughter of Chetaka. Chetaka's sister was Trishala, who was the mother of 24th Tirthankar Mahavira. Next is Magadha. We found Magadha reference in Atharva Ved. The core of the kingdom was the area of Bihar, South Gangas, its first capital was Rajagriha. Then the final capital became the Patliputra. Ruler was Ajatasattu, and Magadha expanded to include most of the Bihar and Bengal. Gautam Buddha lived much of his life in kingdom of Magadha. Fifth is Pajji, which is the capital is Vaishali. It was a confederacy of neighboring clans, including Lichavis and one of the principal Mahajanpadas. The area they ruled constitutes the region of Mithila in Nepal and the northern Bihar. As I have mentioned, the capital was Vaishali, and the mention of it is there in Buddhist and Jain text. And according to it, it was a republic. Sixth one is Malla, and they were republic. The dominion consists of 9 territories. Kusinara was its capital, and it was very important in the history of Buddhism as Buddha died there. At that time, the king of Kushinagar was Sastipal. Seventh one is the Chedi. Chedi lay near Yamuna, midway between the kingdom of Kurus and Vatsa. In the medieval period, Chedi expanded till river Narmada. It is one of the oldest clans as mentioned in the Rig Veda also. Next we are having Vats. They are called to be a branch of Kuru. It has monarchical form of government with its capital as Kausambi. It was very prosperous city where large number of wealthy merchants resided. Udayan was the ruler of Vatsa. He was very powerful and initially he opposed Buddhism, but later he became a follower and made the Buddhism as the state religion. Kuru was the next Mahajanpada, and according to Vayu Puran, Kuru, who was the son of Samvarsana of Puru lineage, was the eponymous ancestor of the Kurus and founder of Kurukshetra. The country of Kurus roughly corresponded to modern Thanesar, a state of Delhi, and Meerut district of UP. According to Jataka, Kuru's capital was Indraprasth. At Buddha time, Kuru was ruled by Kurayavya. Kuru had matrimonial relation with Yadavas, Bhojas, and Panchals also. Now I am proceeding with Panchal. The Panchals occupied the country to east of Kurus between the mountains and river Ganges. The country was divided in Uttar Panchal and Dakshin Panchal. The famous city of Kanyakubj or the Kannauj was situated in kingdom of Panchal. Originally, it was a monarchical clan which switched to republican clan in 5th century BCE. Next I am discussing about Matsya. The country of Matsya tribe lay to the south of Kurus and west of Yamuna, which separated them from Panchals. The capital of Matsya is Virat Nagar, which is named after its founder King Virat. But it was not much importance at the time of Buddha. Next is Avanti. The country of Avantis was an important kingdom of western India and was one of the 4 great monarchies in India in the past era of Mahavir and Buddha. Avanti was divided into north and south by the river Narmada. Initially, Maheshmati was the capital of southern Avanti and Ujjaini was for capital for the northern Avanti. But at the time of Gautam Buddha and Mahavir, Ujjaini became the capital of integrated Avanti and it was an important center for Buddhism. King Nandivardhana defeated Sishunaga, king of Magad. Later, Avanti became a part of Magad. Next is Gandhar. Gandhar reference is found in Rig Veda. Gandhars were very well trained in art of war. Takshashila and Pushkalavati were the two important cities of Gandhar. Gandhar, of Buddhist traditions, included territories of East Afghanistan and northwest of Punjab, now in Peshawar. Its latter capital was Takshashila, which were the renowned study center Takshashila University was also established here, where scholars from around the world came for studies. Next one is the Cambodge, which is situated in Kashmir and Hindu Kush. They were the southern Iranian people inhabited in the border of Indian lands. The language was very similar to Avestan, and even Ashoka Empire was expanded to that pay. Now next is Surasen. The country of the Surasen lay to the east of Matsya and west of Yamuna. The bridge region of UP plus Haryana and the Rajasthan. The capital was Mathura. The Avanti Putra was the king of and who was the disciple of Buddha. And Surasena was a republic. At the time of Megasthenes, it was famous as the center of Krishna worship. Last one is Asmaka or the Asaka, located in the Dakshina part or the southern India. At the time of Gautam Buddha, many Asikas were located on the banks of Godavari river. The capital of Asikas was Potana or Potali. By this, we have understood about the rise of Buddhism, Jainism, the second organization, the similarity in between Buddhism and Jainism, and about the rise of 16 Mahajanpadas. With this, I am concluding my video here. And if you like the content of my video, kindly like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.